What's going on, guys? This is Flash here, and welcome back to another movie review. This is going to be a review for a movie that actually came out last year, but I really wanted to do a review on it, and I really wanted to get my thoughts and opinions out on the movie, just because this franchise has so much nostalgia for me, and I really wanted to get this out on the channel, and I don't know why I haven't done this sooner. So, the movie we're going to be reviewing is Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions. Now, I'm going to be breaking this down into plot, characters, the villain, the cards used, and then I'll give you an overall rating of the movie. So, starting off with the plot. So, the basic plot of this movie is Seto Kaiba wants to find the Millennium Puzzle so he can resurrect the Pharaoh and duel him once more to try and reclaim his pride, because, as if you guys didn't know, throughout the entire original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, Seto Kaiba always lost to Yugimoto, even though he beat him once, but that kind of doesn't count because he threatened to kill himself if Yugi didn't lose the duel. So that was a bit unfair, and that was the only time Kaiba actually beat Yugi. So this entire plot of this movie, well, the first act of this movie and then parts of the last act is just Kaiba finding the Millennium Puzzle, and then getting pieces stolen from him, and then this all leads up to the final duel tournament at the end, where Agami, the main villain, and Yugi have a piece each of the Millennium Puzzle, and Kaiba has the rest of the Millennium Puzzle, and whoever wins the tournament takes the puzzle, and Kaiba's ultimate plan is to get all of the pieces and resurrect the Pharaoh so he can duel him. Pretty simple plot, but that is where the main villain Agami comes into this, and Agami has these powers, reality controlling powers, and they were gifted to him when Yugi sent the Pharaoh back to the spirit world, or the afterlife, and they got these powers, and the way it works is they have the powers. As long as the Pharaoh isn't in the world and doesn't return, they keep these powers. But if the Pharaoh returns, they lose all of their powers for good. So, what he can basically do, he has the power to send these people to another dimension, and it's basically a dimension inside their memories which just slowly collapses in on itself, and ultimately ends up in them dying, which is an interesting concept. It's like, they don't really explore Yu-Gi-Oh! In like anime and Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially the dubbed versions, they don't really explore like the concept of life and death, because it's like they don't want to. It's more a thing for kids than anything, but they don't want to explore those themes, even though in the subbed version they definitely explore those themes. Like, you see death all of the time in the sub version. Like, for example, in season 2, which was Battle City, there was Yugi versus Arcana, and they had soul blades coming towards their legs, and whoever lost the duel got their legs cut off, essentially. And the way 4Kids got around that was they said, oh, these are soul blades, and if they hit you, you get sent to the Shadow Realm. So it's kind of like censoring over it. 4Kids has a notorious history of censoring over Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is why I'm glad 4Kids don't actually dub over Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. It's some other company, which I'm not sure. 4Kids did dub over this one though, but it wasn't too bad actually. So, getting back into the main plot of the movie, once Kaiba had assembled Millennium Puzzle and he'd found it, Agami shows up, and they end up dueling, and Kaiba pulls an Egyptian god card out of his ass, which he shouldn't even have, really, because the Egyptian god cards were all, like, not destroyed, they were all went away when the Pharaoh went to the afterworld. So, people give the excuse that Kaiba could imagine anything in his imagination with this new dual disc technology he introduced, but I really don't see how you can imagine something that doesn't exist anymore. That is my one issue with the movie. The fact that he summoned something that can't even exist. Not the rule breaking. I can look past the rule breaking if it makes a better movie. But summoning a monster that doesn't even exist, cause like really, I know you wanted to incorporate an Egyptian god card somewhere into this, but you had a flashback scene. There was a flashback scene where they reanimated the final duel between the Pharaoh and Yugi, and we got to see its life of the Sky Dragon. Now that was cool, that made sense. Kaiba bringing back an Egyptian god card just doesn't make sense, and that is one of my biggest issues with this movie. Anyway, getting back into this, obviously, the way Yugi actually gets this Millennium Puzzle piece, as I said earlier, is Agami's sister Sarah actually teleports to Yugi because the powers they have gives them teleportation powers, and she gifts him a piece of the Millennium Puzzle to bring him into the story. I feel like that was just to bring Yugi into the story for plot relevance, because otherwise it would have been a story of Agami and Kaiba, and it was just called Yu-Gi-Oh! So I feel like the writer's like, crap, we have to write Yugi into this some way. So they had Sarah give him a piece of the Millennium Puzzle, which is kind of funny in a way. But anyway, like I said, they end up having a duel tournament, and it starts off with Kaiba wants to duel Yugi first, and that doesn't end up happening because Yugi wants to duel Agami, because it turns out Agami has actually sent Bakura to not the Shadow Realm, but like an alternate dimension. Like I said, he can send them to alternate dimensions. So Yugi was dueling to bring back Bakura, and throughout the duel, Yugi pulls out so many different monsters, so many different nostalgic monsters. Dark Magician, there was, I believe Karibo comes into it at some point. Dark Magician Girl is so many nostalgic monsters from the original anime too, which is nice. And then there were some new monsters mixed into it, like the fruit magician girls, like I think it's Lemon Magician Girl and Strawberry Magician Girl, stuff like that. And those were nice additions to the game, and they had relevance to the plot as well, so that was nice. Anyway, Yugi ends up winning this duel, and Agami disappears, but meanwhile, whilst Yugi and Kaiba duel in the final, Agami actually has the Millennium Ring appear to him, and he becomes this weird, like, Millennium Ring type monster. And he ends up coming back after Yugi and Kaiba duel. Kaiba lives on 100 life points after a Dark Magician attack from Yugi, and Agami just appears out of nowhere as this really weird, really distorted monster form, and it ends up being Yugi and Kaiba versus this Agami monster thing, and Kaiba ends up actually sacrificing himself to allow Yugi to bring back the Pharaoh, and I believe that Yugi was about to die, not die, essentially die, because he would have gone to another dimension and ended up dying in his own memories. So, yeah, Yugi's about to die, and then out of nowhere, a gold light just appears above Yugi, and the Pharaoh returns, and the music is so good in this scene. It's just so perfect the way they return. The only gripe I have with this scene is the fact that the Pharaoh doesn't say anything. He just kind of draws a card, summons the monster, and then like takes out Agami with one monster, which is actually pretty badass if you don't ask me. But yeah, the Pharaoh returns and takes down Agami, and that was a nice way to appease the fans, because we all wanted to see the Pharaoh return in this movie. It couldn't be a 20th anniversary Yu-Gi-Oh movie without the Pharaoh return. Let's be real. So Pharaoh returns, beats Agami, and then meanwhile, after this, they all end up talking, and they're all saying like, "Oh, did the Pharaoh ask about me?" and stuff like that. And then the final shot of this movie. Yes, Kaiba ends up using this dual vision technology to project himself into the past so he can go duel the Pharaoh finally, and he finally gets his wish. And the final shot of this movie is Yugi and the Pharaoh. It's not Yugi and the Pharaoh staring down Kaiba, and it makes it look like they're about to duel. And yes, that is the perfect way to end it for me. I don't need to know who wins, I just need to know that Kaiba gets there, and they end up dueling, and that is the perfect way to end it. Now, that is the plot, and oh my god, I've been talking for 9 minutes about the plot of this movie. God knows how long this video is going to be. Moving on to the main villain of Agami. Now, Agami was interesting because, I don't know if you guys know, but Paradox there's been 2 other Yu-Gi-Oh movies. One of them was Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Time, and in that movie, Paradox was the main villain, and he was kind of cookie cutter. He wanted to destroy all of reality. Then there was, in the first movie, there was the Anubis, and he wanted to bring back the old Egyptian ways and resurrect all of the old Egyptian things and conquer the world. And that movie was also cookie cutter. The first 2 Yu-Gi-Oh movies were cookie cutter, and the villains were cookie cutter in their goals. Whereas I feel Agami is different in this sense, because Agami actually has like a reason to be doing what he's doing. Basically, Bakura's father visited Egypt whilst Agami was training under the seer or something. I don't remember his name, but he was like training Agami and his sister and a bunch of other children in Egypt. And Bakura's father just bursts in and ends up sending the guy that was training Agami to the Shadow Realm through the Millennium Ring, and that gives Agami a hatred for like people in general. And as soon as he got his powers, as soon as the Pharaoh went away, he made it his mission to destroy, like, get revenge for the people he's lost. And he ends up sending Bakura to the Shadow Realm, or the Ultimate Dimension Realm, and he gets vengeance. But it then becomes a bit more than that. He wants to take out everybody who's ever been connected to Bakura, so that includes Yugi and his friends, which then ends up becoming a whole world thing because of the powers he has. And he wants to enlighten the world, quote in hard air quotes. So the way he was going to enlighten the world was actually to create a whole new world where there was no fighting, no hatred, just peace. But, as Yugi said, there was no way he could have done this, for the pure fact that he was purely fueled by hatred, and there was no way he could create a world without hatred when he was purely fueled by hatred. And yeah, I think Agami has been the best villain we've had. I say in Yu-Gi-Oh! All time. Maybe not maybe just sticking into the main canon, so just Yu-Gi-Oh! Seasons 1 through 5, including this movie and the first movie. I'd say this is the best villain we've had so far, because his motivations are clear, the reason why he's doing it is clear, and he's actually pretty intimidating throughout this movie. He almost, at one point, sends Kaiba to this alternate dimension, but Kaiba has some bullcrap with his new Dordas technology, which the power of technology can save me from anything. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed Agami as the villain. Now, moving on to the nostalgic cards used throughout this movie, we had Dark Magician Girl, Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon, let's see, Celtic Guardian, Karibo. There were so many nostalgic monsters that yes, I so enjoyed this movie, and overall, I would give this movie, say, an 8 out of 10. The only thing that brought this movie down for me, actually, was the fact that what Kaiba did, essentially, in bringing back the God cards just didn't make sense, and there was a way he could have gotten around that without using the God cards. Maybe not because Agami had all of his monsters locked down, but, did you really need to summon a God card? Konami, you could have thought a way around that, or 4Kids, you could have thought a way around that, but I see the value in bringing back Godlisk, it's fan service, and I appreciate it. But overall, I think this movie was really good, and like I said, 8 out of 10. If you guys enjoyed this review, please do hit that like button if you know your support is very much appreciated, and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.